Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the apps you use every single day, the big ones. We're going to map out the blueprint that lets these massive, global applications feel like they're running on a server right next door. So how on earth do they pull it off? Let's dive in.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You could be on the other side of the planet, you hit play on a movie, and boom, it starts streaming instantly. Or you ask for directions in a city you've never even been to, and the map just appears. No lag, no fuss. How is that possible? Well, it's not magic. It's a completely revolutionary way of building software.
And the answer to that how really comes down to one key idea you've probably heard thrown around: cloud native. Now, this isn't just another tech buzzword, it's a fundamental change in how we think about, build, and run our applications. Honestly, it's the very foundation of pretty much all modern scalable software.
So what does it actually mean? Well, at its heart, being cloud native means you design your applications to take full advantage of everything the cloud has to offer. It's about building systems that aren't just running on the cloud, but were born and bred for the cloud. This is what lets companies deliver software at a speed and a quality that was just a pipe dream not that long ago. According to the folks at the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, this whole approach really rests on three main pillars. First, your apps are packaged into these neat little self-contained boxes called containers. Second, all those containers are managed automatically by a system. They're dynamically orchestrated. And third, the big clunky applications of the past are broken down into small, independent pieces called microservices. So let's break that. Let's start with containers. These things solve one of the oldest, most annoying headaches in software development, the it works on my machine problem. A container basically shrink wraps an application and everything it needs to run into one tidy, portable package. This means it's guaranteed to run the exact same way every time, everywhere, whether that's a developer's laptop or a giant production server in the cloud. Okay, so containers are great, right? But they bring up a new kind of challenge. Modern apps aren't just one container anymore. They can be hundreds, sometimes even thousands of them. So how do you manage all that complexity without it all just descending into absolute chaos?
Yeah, just try to imagine it. You've got to place hundreds of these little software boxes onto your servers, make sure they stay healthy, replace them instantly if they crash, and then make more of them when traffic suddenly spikes. Trying to do that by hand, it's completely impossible at scale. You need a system, a brain, to automate the whole thing.
What you really need is an orchestra conductor for all these containers. And in the world of cloud-native software, that conductor has a name: Kubernetes. It's this amazing open-source platform designed specifically to handle all this complexity, automating the deployment, the scaling, and the day-to-day operation of all your application containers. Now, to really get why Kubernetes is such a big deal, you have to understand this mindset shift known as the pets versus cattle analogy. See, in the olden days, our servers were like pets. We gave them names, we cared for them, and if one got sick, we'd spend hours nursing it back to health. But in the cloud-native world, servers and containers are like cattle. They're identical, they're anonymous, they're disposable. If one fails, you don't fix it, you just replace it with a new one instantly. The whole system isn't designed to avoid failure, it's designed to handle failure gracefully and automatically.
So how does this conductor actually work? Well, here's a super simplified look at it. You've got a central master, that's the brain of the whole operation. It makes all the decisions about where to run your apps. And then you have the nodes. These are the worker machines that do the heavy lifting. The master automatically schedules and manages your containers across all these nodes, constantly watching to make sure everything is running smoothly. If a node goes down or a container crashes, the master just handles it. No human intervention needed.
Okay, so Kubernetes is awesome for managing a whole fleet of containers in one place, like one data center. But what if you're Netflix? What if you're Google? How do you take this incredible model and apply it not just in one location, but across the entire planet to serve a global audience? Because here's the thing, for true speed and rock-solid reliability, you can't have your application running in just one spot. If your user is in California, you don't want the request to have to travel all the way across the country to a server in Virginia. No way. You need to run your application in multiple geographic regions at the exact same time. And this is where things get really, really cool. So let's look at a real-world example of how this is actually done. We're going to check out a technology from Google Kubernetes Engine, or GKE, called the Multi-Cluster Gateway. It was designed to solve this exact problem. How do you manage traffic to an application that's literally spread all over the map? Here's the simplified version of how it works. First, you deploy your application in, say, two totally separate Kubernetes clusters, one on the US East Coast, one on the West Coast.
Then you set up a single global gateway. You can think of this gateway as the one and only front door for your entire global app. And finally, you just give it a few simple rules that tell it how to direct all the incoming traffic. It's kind of like a super smart traffic cop for the internet.
And the best part is just how simple these rules can be. You can literally tell the gateway, hey, any traffic that comes in for URL ending in /east, send it to my East Coast cluster. And anything for /west, that goes to the West Coast. But what about everything else? Well, for any other request, you can just say, send the user to whichever cluster is closest to them and is currently healthy. It's this beautiful mix of precise control and automatic intelligent routing.
All right, let's actually put this to the test. Here's a simple command we can use to send a request to our global gateway. And notice, we're specifically asking for the /east path. We're basically telling the system, hey, I want to talk to the East Coast, please.
And there it is. The response comes back, and it clearly tells us that the cluster that served our request was GK US East 1. It worked. The gateway read our rule and sent our traffic exactly where it was supposed to go, thousands of miles away. Okay, let's try the other one, just to be sure. Same command, but this time we're targeting the /west path. Now we're asking to speak to the West Coast cluster.
And perfect. The response confirms we were served by GK US West 1. I mean, this is it. This shows how one single entry point, one address, can intelligently route traffic across an entire continent, or even the whole globe, all based on a few simple rules. This right here is the blueprint for a fast, resilient global app. So, we've just built this incredibly powerful, globally distributed system. But with all that power comes a huge, huge responsibility: security. I mean, how do you protect an application that's spread all over the world and is open to the entire internet?
Right. Security is never an afterthought. It's a fundamental requirement, especially for critical systems. This quote here shows you the incredibly high bar that's set by government agencies. The platforms that run these global applications have to meet and often exceed these really tough security standards. They have to prove they can be trusted with the most sensitive information. So whose job is security in the cloud anyway? Well, it's a partnership, and it's defined by what's called the shared responsibility model. The cloud provider, so like Google, is responsible for the security of the cloud. That's the physical data centers, the networks, the core services. But you, the customer, you're responsible for security in the cloud. That's your applications, your data, and how you configure everything.
And the good news is the platform gives you some seriously powerful tools to do your part. You can easily encrypt all your traffic using SSL certificates. You can apply powerful firewall policies to protect against common web attacks. And you can attach very specific security policies directly to your applications to enforce your business rules. The controls are there for you to lock it all down.
And that really brings us to our final thought. We've seen how modern applications are built from these disposable, replaceable parts, all managed by an automated conductor. It's a system that doesn't even try to avoid failure. Instead, it expects it, it anticipates it, and it recovers instantly. So as our digital world gets more and more complex, you have to wonder, is designing for failure the only real way to build for success?